Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Noragami, Season 1, Episode 10. What an amazing show. The last episode just really takes the cake for
wonderful
capitulating an arc for multiple characters, giving us an emotional cathartic ending, setting up some future stuff.
Those Bakas started to learn their lesson and come back together as a family. No, it is a bit of a rough and tumble one to move forward and face the world together.
Yeah.
And Kuro also, we got to see him break down and cry with them, and that was a thing of beauty. It was wonderful.
I freaking like snipped a screenshot of that to be like, look at this like tsundere Yakuza dad that, you know, with his adoptive really chaotic daughter, and they're just like, so many feelings about this.
Yeah,
it's great. Wonderful.
I love it.
Wonderful.
I love it so much.
But we have Nora. And she awoke someone.
Yeah.
This person that we assumed might be her god master, but maybe not.
Yeah, it's something though.
I mean, what if what if a regalia can, cut a circle of separating death, So it's like, I'm going to divide you from death.
Kill you back to life.
Exactly. Or no, they kill the death around them,
Yes.
Like, yeah.
If that ends up happening, that will be a thing. But yeah, because Nora, we don't really know what she can and can't do because
we know that she is a Nora.
That's
it.
Right.
Which means that she is probably one of the strongest regalia out there because she's, had so many connections with other gods. So in that regard, we don't know if she has things that she's capable of that other regalia just can't do.
Sure. Yeah.
But that was her words. She woke someone up.
Right.
Which...
a little disconcerting.
That's a little unnerving, yeah.
Not as unnerving as her song.
Shaka shaka.
Really, it's basically that same kind of thing where it's just
what is it with children's rhymes and children's stories having this like unnerving quality to them when you read them like in a context with like just the right music and stuff? You're like, oh god, this is horrifying.
Well, a lot of fairy tales in general are just super dark.
Yeah, super scary.
Yeah.
Okay. But the family's all together. Kazuma, you legend. Thanks for doing this behind Bishamon's back.
Good man.
Bishamon is probably going to find out, though, about what happened.
Yes.
And I hope Kazuma, doesn't get, too punished for this. Now,
they
to be
seem
fair,
like they have a good relationship.
Yeah, they have a little bit of interdependency going on, which is really healthy and wonderful, actually, just considering that our pseudo kind of antagonistic force for Yato has such a healthy relationship with their regalia. It's like,
that level of trust is really cool.
Yeah. Exactly. But, how will they set up the next segment of story?
I don't know.
So, let's find out. Y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion.
Okay.
Wait.
So...
I don't know. I think you might be onto something here.
Yeah, we went back and, looked over it again, and she didn't, she waved goodbye to her friends.
But that's different.
And then she didn't respond to Yato, at all. It was just sort of...
She gave the blinking thing of,
yeah.
Confused.
Who are you? And it's like, okay.
Yeah, and the choice of words of who are you. There's literally no better way to describe the...
Yeah.
I don't have any memory of you response.
And, okay.
And we literally had, in this episode, Tenjin bring up the idea of, hey, maybe the best way to do this is to sever your ties with her.
Yep,
or sever her ties with you, whichever one it was. But the idea is that that's something that makes sense for a regalia to do. They sever things. That's their sword. Yep, makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. But... Nora encounters Hiyori, and we skip ahead, and we don't show what the result of that meeting was. Now, it had nothing to do with the Phantoms, which I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
So there's that. But remember, we don't know exactly why this happened with Hiyori in terms of the mechanics of the world.
Right.
So as for
true.
how you would bring it back in some way if it was severed. There's no precedent for it, really.
I don't know. Like,
yeah,
because one of the and one of the things that's nasty about this is like we just got the family back together essentially, and then immediately Nora comes along and is like, hey, did you forget about me?
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, yes, we were trying very hard. So now, okay, this other leg of the relationship, essentially, of the family dynamic, is in jeopardy. Needs to be protected, rescued, saved, however that works. But
she can still see Yato, though.
That's true. Okay, that is true. That is a very good point.
Here's one of the things that's important with that, though. It's not necessarily a big deal that she can see Yato or not, because Yato's specifically addressing her. And Yato's thing is that people just kind of forget that they saw him, or they just tend to kind of look past him. It's it's kind of a
he's not invisible. It's more of just a mind affecting,
Right.
Yeah.
But Yukine, she might not be able to see him though, necessarily. And again, she didn't necessarily address Yukine there. She was looking at Yato. Yato was the only one talking with her.
This is
so this is a cliffhanger of where they could be debating us and just saying no. Actually, all this is she just wants to know his past. And that's literally what we thought it was. But the more I think about it, the more I look at the episode holistically. No, I think this is something where Nora decided, you know what?
Stop existing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm tired of you being this weird anomaly that's just keeping Yato away from me.
And this was a below-the-belt punch as far as to the audience, and everything, because we've been having all this wholesome, wonderful stuff in the earlier parts of the episode. We just got back to that. It was hard fought.
Yep.
Now it's trying to be taken away. But one of the things that I really like about this is that it goes to show just how casual and cavalier our main characters are being about pretty much everything. Like, forget about Nora for a second, right?
Oh, just this spirit world in general.
Just the spirit world in general.
Just how chaotic and scary it could be.
How chaotic and scary it can be. The fact that Bishamon is actively trying to kill you, Yato, and y'all are just sort of hanging out and stuff and splitting the party without...
To be fair, she can't just find Yato.
That's true.
That's not something she can do.
She could maybe call out to Yato, and then maybe since he's the stray delivery god and all that stuff, he could just sort of, what's up? She could be like, oh, Yato, you're the best ever. No, I can't say that.
Hey, to be fair, she never would frequent the areas where he would put his phone number out there. Let's be real.
That's true.
She is way
not like call him on her phone.
That's what I'm talking about.
That actually would be a good idea.
like that's what I thought you were talking about, where it's like he's literally like graffitiing his thing everywhere, and let's be clear, like this area is probably like really clean in general, so there's these poor like volunteer workers that are just like, geez, this guy keeps putting his stuff up in this area. Doesn't he learn?
He literally like put it inside a bathroom stall.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's where people just randomly deface the things with regards to like, hey, call this number if you want a good time,
Oh my god.
So and so sucks,
right. So
I hate this person.
Exactly. Yeah. So in this situation, well, Hiyori's in trouble. But it's not like immediate trouble, because the fact that so this is one of the things that almost concerns me even more.
Okay.
Is the fact that Nora had her isolated, right? And she said, I want you to stop existing, right? It was easy. Like there was no question about it, right? The fact that she was even using the wolves or whatever was more of pretense, it almost felt like.
Right. I think what it was primarily was that there's the possibility that the wolves were there basically to weaken her in some way.
Okay.
Because remember, she's dealing with the spirit form of her there, and Nora being someone who's probably not like able to utilize the maximum power that they have because she's not being wielded by a god in that regard there. There's probably limits to what she can do.
What she can directly do. Like, she can't wield herself.
Exactly, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So,
otherwise, she wouldn't need a master.
Right, exactly. That's probably why she's so like, hey, Yato, please come back.
Right.
Wield me, please,
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case here, we know that her desires are slightly in conflict with Rabo's, that's why he's probably not wielding her. Like, he's going after Yato, and she's like, no, we got to use this girl. This is the way to do it. And he's like, nah, I'm here to go have a good fight, and I want to kick ass on a god of war instead of a god of calamity, even though Yato was kind of a...
They kind of used the war and calamity interchangeably a little bit.
Exactly. It does seem like that, yeah.
But Hiyori's still alive.
Hiyori's still alive, but she's not in her spirit form.
She's not in her spirit form.
So she might have lost that.
Right, she might have lost it.
Yeah.
And maybe the reason that, like, Nora didn't kill her, is as one thing I can think of, is that then maybe Yato could just make her a regalia as well. Like, it's like, oh, you killed her, and it's like, that's a problem. But then that would, if anything, make it so that she's permanently with Yato, rather than what she actually wants to have happen, which is separate her from Yato forever, right?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and given that she didn't want her to die, one of the things that she's doing is then she uses her as a tool to then either hurt Yato, or at the very least, she was looking at this in a much simpler manner, and she's like, okay, hold on. Do you realize that if things had gone with the things with the evolution had gone a lot differently, if you just hadn't been there,
then Yukine probably would have ended up, dying or getting turned into
he would have had to banish him or what have you,
right?
Separate,
and
cut
then
the connection.
He could have been with me.
Yeah, but no, you had to stick
you butted in.
Yeah,
right.
And now she's basically like, yeah, you know what? Dying gives the opportunity for you two to actually form an even different kind of bond, maybe even stronger bond.
Sure.
So no, I'm not going to do that. I see these little spiritual ties you two have together. There's some emotion in here. There's some past experiences,
some wholesomeness and found family.
Yeah, and, you know what? That's easy. Borderline. And then freaking, like, that's the thing that's scary, is that we don't have a grid for what Hiyori really is in that regard, except that if her tail is severed in some ways, we know just it's bad. It's really bad.
And we know that regalia can cut things that aren't physical or traditional. So
yeah, in that respect, the regalia have power that goes in some ways maybe even beyond a god, because they are the beings that have that domain, if you will.
Right. That's why the gods use them.
That's why the gods use them.
Right.
In some ways, it's also because
division of labor.
Right, and then also the exactly. But it's also then the effects of what happens when you are the one that is severing something. There's probably some cost associated with it. A blade gets blunted after so many uses, What is the spiritual repercussions of being, say, someone that slaughters, tons of people over eras and eras of time? Even if a god is the one doing it, wielding the weapon that does it, it gets into some cool stuff there. But okay. All right. We also got just some good, wholesome banter with the family.
Yep.
It was lovely.
And apparently, why did you spend any time? I know Kuro's wonderful, but, god of poverty, like, probably not the best place to get a part-time job,
Nope.
Like, I appreciate the effort, Yukine, and, taking on the responsibility and everything.
That was so good.
Like, that's wonderful.
Right.
As far as an economical choice, might not be the best one,
Yeah, but to be fair, these are the only friends he has.
That is very true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He also might literally not be able to get a job in a human place
because he's a freaking regalia.
He's a spirit,
I'm dumb.
I mean, it's just, it's okay. But okay, here's the other thing though. They casually just kind of had this as the epilogue to the previous conflict, and that was that one of the regalia of Tenjin ended up being affected by the spiritual virus of Yukine's kind of rebellion, if you will.
Yep.
And just probably like a little bit of contact, because I don't think Yukine spent that much time near Tenjin's regalia. That was enough for her to go, and probably some of her memories came back. She went and found a thing that reminded her of her dream to be a teacher, basically tying her back to the real world in some way. And the pain of realizing what she's lost caused her to self-harm. Which
then
was an immediate ban. Like an immediate, you're done.
Like, that is
dark. Like Jeez.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that, like, I mean, this is pure conjecture on my part, but I wouldn't be surprised if the way it spread wasn't necessarily through physical contact or things like that.
No, definitely wasn't.
Even though we did see Hiyori catch it from Yato through physical contact. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was more of like a sort of, bad vibes, psychic energy transference, something along those lines.
Yeah, that's why I use the term virus, because there's multiple ways that kind of thing can spread in the real world.
Who knows how it actually got transferred.
Right. It could have been, the first person direct contact via just proximity. It could have been second, in levels of indirection.
Yep.
Who knows? But it reminds us of how terrified Kuro was when he saw this coming up near the place with him and Kofuku.
Right.
And thus he then used his divider and was just like, nope, sorry.
Stay out there.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He was not only thinking of himself, but he was thinking of his master, his god.
Right.
So now
consequences for Yukine's situation.
Right. Now we're in a situation where to draw a parallel, if you will, the virus that is Nora, which has plagued Yato for probably centuries at this point, has now spread to those that Yato cares about.
Yeah.
And Yato was kept busy so that he could not accidentally stumble upon, because he has that annoying ability to just teleport when people, pray for him and stuff. And it's just like, oh, no, you're fighting a regalia, you're too busy. So therefore,
I would love. Okay, so you know how with Yukine's story, it was kind of the defense, right? Of the we need to protect our son, right? That is going through tough times and help him deal with what he's dealing with, that internal conflict, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't attack internal conflict, right? You just do everything you can to try and be supportive of the person as they deal with the internal conflict themselves, right?
Right. You kind of have to have them intentionally bring out their internal conflict before it can be
hence ablution,
attacked.
There you go, right?
Sure, yeah.
In this situation, though, we do have some, even if they're not, physical entities, we do have some actual entities that are causing some of this trouble. And I would love to see something happen where, they realize, oh shit, Hiyori's been tampered with. Someone's messed with Hiyori. All right, squad up. And then Yato and Yukine, and then
Bishamon.
Oh, sure, Bishamon,
Kazuma,
but also
Kuro,
Kofuku and Kuro. They squad up and they're like, all right.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a bad apple in this town. And go on a full-on hunt to find Nora, and
personally,
wonderful.
Personally, I don't want Kuro to come anywhere near Rabo. Rabo
Kuro?
gives, yeah. Kuro will just die if that happens. I get the vibe specifically that one of the things that makes Kuro so safe in this regard is that Kofuku is a nightmare and just no one wants to go near her. Bishamon is just get the f away from me, you
right.
terrifying god of chaos.
Right.
So Bishamon, if anything, I would love to have her and Kazuma basically be called in as they have this tenuous alliance of Yato being like, hey, I don't know what this one is, but
it's going to cause trouble if he does actually kill me,
Right,
and it's but I want him dead. It's well, hold on, Vina, let's talk about this.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Okay, so we have Rabo being someone who has not met Yato, but has heard of him, and is oh, that is the Yato, the god of calamity, the one,
the big fish,
yeah, and he's this powerful, what? He looked so disappointed. He sounded so much like one of those killers who's just oh, I can't play with this one.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I won't get any fun out of him.
Right, I'll have to try, kind of a thing, rather than just, I can sadistically, torture them, play with my food kind of a thing.
So what if Rabo is actually more in power than Nora is here? And what if this is something where Rabo is if I'm not going to, if you're not going to let me kill her, then you need to use her so that Yato will actually, go into that darker part of himself and make this fight actually worthwhile.
Because that is something that Nora definitely wants, because, Yeah.
So they both win in that regard.
Right.
And guess who suffers the most for that? Yukine. Because then he's going to be forced to be the weapon for a god who's...
Okay, sure.
With that kind of stuff.
But since we already handled that whole dynamic between the two of them...
No, I'm with you,
what if...
It's going to be awesome.
Like, we could get something where then it's Yukine also being there for Yato, of being like, hey, dude,
so he's not just a neutral force, he's a positive force.
Exactly. And then it's like, hey, you could, let her words get to you, or you could, use me, and we could...
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. We've got some players in this field that we're gonna have to see how they get utilized in this next stage of the conflict.
Yep.
And other than that, I just hope that we can keep Hiyori primarily in her place that she's in the story, because she has been a wonderful main character, and
absolutely,
the fact that she might have just gotten like Thanos snapped with her memories,
she'll be brought back.
Yeah.
It'll be fine, and it'll be wonderful when it happens. It'll make for a great finale if that's when it ends up happening. Yeah.
Just this show has a lot of elements of it that are really dark, and it's in those moments where you want to have that emotional cathartic finale where they can just go and be like, yeah, but why don't we have the resolution to that pushed back a little bit? Why don't we just take things a little bit into a scarier place than that even?
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine eventually.
Okay.
Also, we got one of Nora's names.
Yes,
I forget
Reiki.
what it was. Reiki. Yeah, that's
Reiki.
right. Yeah,
I'll look into that. I believe I'm thinking of something else entirely, but I think it has something to do with energy.
Okay.
I'll go and look up the name to see what the details is with that. But it's a name that I've heard a lot in context of. Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, Reiki is like some kind of energy healing thing that I've heard of nowadays. That's
okay.
Thing. I don't know what it actually means then, but all right.
That's a weird name for Nora. Ugh.
Well, that's the thing. Remember, she has a near infinite number of names.
Right.
So who knows why this name is the one that he's choosing to call her by.
I'm going to heal with death. No.
Yeah, we'll see. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
Yeah. Battle Lines. It's got, family stuff in there. It's cool. And swords and action. It's on Amazon. Links in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.